The mysterious old woman gives everyone a chance to be kind. Some people pass her test, some fail once and learn their lesson. But what happens when someone fails her test not once, not twice, but 3 times? What you're about to witness will shock you to your core. But why is this wealthy businessman now walking backwards everywhere he goes? Why can't he move forward anymore? And what did the old woman whisper to him that made him realize he had wasted his entire life? This is the story of the ultimate consequence, so powerful that it changed not just one man's life, but the way an entire city thinks about kindness and greed. Mr. Femi Adebayo was the richest man in his part of Lagos. At 45, he owned a construction company, lived in a mansion, and had more money than he could spend in 3 lifetimes. But Femi had a problem that all his money couldn't fix. He was always in a hurry, always rushing to make more money, always focused on the next deal, always too busy to notice the people around him. What Femi didn't know was that he had already failed the mysterious old woman's test twice. And today, she was coming for the 3rd and final time. It was a hot Friday morning, and Femi was driving his expensive Jeep to an important business meeting. As usual, he was talking on his phone, making deals and shouting at his employees. "I don't care what it takes," he was saying into his Bluetooth headset. "I want that contract signed by noon, or somebody is getting fired." As he sped through the busy streets of Lagos, Femi saw something that made him slam on his brakes. An old woman had fallen in the middle of the road, and a heavy bag of cement had broken open beside her. She was covered in cement dust and crying for help. "Help me, please," the old woman called out. "I cannot get up." Cars were driving around her, honking their horns. Some drivers were shouting at her to get out of the way, but no one stopped to help. Femi sat in his air-conditioned car, engine running, watching the scene. He looked at his expensive watch. His meeting was in 15 minutes. "Sir, are you going to help her?" asked his driver, Joseph. Femi made an angry face. "Joseph, do you see what time it is? This meeting I'm going to will make us 5 million naira. 5 million? You want me to be late for that to help some random old woman?" "But sir, she's hurt. It will only take 2 minutes." 2 minutes? Femi laughed bitterly. "In 2 minutes, I can make more money than that old woman has seen in her entire life. My time is too valuable to waste on other people's problems." Joseph looked shocked. He had worked for Femi for 3 years, but his boss seemed to be getting more heartless every day. "Drive around her," Femi ordered. "Sir, you heard me. Drive around her and let's go." As their car drove past the fallen old woman, she looked directly at Femi through the tinted window. For just a moment, their eyes met, and Femi felt a strange chill run through his body. But he quickly dismissed the feeling and returned to his phone call. "Where was I?" he said. "Oh yes, fire anybody who can't meet the deadline." What Femi didn't know was that this was the 3rd time he had encountered this particular old woman. 2 years ago, she had asked him for help carrying water. He had driven past without stopping. Last year, she had fallen and needed help getting up. Again, he had ignored her completely. And now, this was the 3rd time, the final chance. As Femi's car disappeared down the road, the old woman slowly stood up. The cement dust fell from her clothes, and the injury that had seemed so serious moments before was completely gone. She looked in the direction of Femi's car, and for the first time in many years, her gentle face showed something that looked like sadness mixed with determination. 3 chances, she whispered to herself. 3 opportunities to choose kindness over selfishness. 3 failures to show basic human compassion. She raised her right hand toward the sky, and even though it was a sunny day, dark clouds began to gather overhead. "From this day forward," she said quietly, "you will move through life the same way you have moved through your heart, backwards." Femi's business meeting went perfectly. He signed the 5 million naira contract and was feeling very pleased with himself as he walked out of the office building. "Another successful day," he said to Joseph as they walked toward the car. "See? That's why you can't waste time, Ono." Suddenly, Femi stopped talking. Something was wrong. He had been walking toward his car, but somehow he was now walking away from it. He tried to turn around and walk forward, but his feet wouldn't obey him. Instead, he took another step backward. "Sir, are you okay?" Joseph asked. Femi tried to explain, but he was confused. Every time he tried to walk forward, his body moved backward instead. Every time he tried to move toward his car, he ended up farther away from it. "This is strange," Femi muttered. "I must be tired." But as the hours passed, Femi realized that something was seriously wrong. No matter where he tried to go, he could only walk backward. When he tried to enter his house, he walked away from the door. When he tried to sit down, he stood up. When he tried to reach for his phone, his hand moved in the opposite direction. By evening, Femi was panicking. He called his doctor, but when the doctor arrived, Femi couldn't walk toward him. He could only walk backward, away from help. "I've never seen anything like this," the doctor admitted. "Physically, there's nothing wrong with you. But your body seems to be moving in the opposite direction of your intentions." That night, Femi couldn't sleep. Every time he tried to lie down on his bed, he found himself walking backward away from it. Every time he tried to drink water, the cup moved away from his mouth. By morning, news of Femi's strange condition had spread throughout Lagos. People came from all over the city to see the rich man who could only walk backward. "Is that not Mr. Femi?" people whispered. "The construction company owner? What happened to him? Why is he walking backward? Maybe it's a curse." For 3 days, Femi struggled with his backward condition. He couldn't work, couldn't eat properly, couldn't do anything normal. His employees were confused, his business partners were cancelling meetings, and his whole life was falling apart. On the 4th day, Femi was in his backyard, trying unsuccessfully to walk forward, when he heard a familiar voice. "Good morning, my son." Femi turned around, which meant walking backward, and saw the old woman from the road incident standing at his gate. "You," Femi said, his voice shaking, "you're the woman from the road." The old woman nodded calmly. "Yes, I am." "Did you do this to me?" Femi asked, gesturing to his backward walking condition. "I did nothing," the old woman said. "You did this to yourself." "What do you mean?" The old woman walked closer to him. "For years, you have been moving backward in your heart. You have been moving away from kindness, away from compassion, away from basic human decency. Now your body is simply showing the world what your heart has been doing all along." Femi stared at her in shock. "I don't understand." "This is the 3rd time I have asked you for help," the old woman explained. 3 times I have given you the chance to choose kindness over selfishness. 3 times you have chosen to move away from helping others. So now you can only move away from everything." 3 times? Femi thought back through his memory. Slowly he began to remember. The woman carrying water 2 years ago, the woman who had fallen last year, and now the woman with the cement bag. "It was you," he whispered. "All 3 times it was you." "Yes," the old woman said. "I appear to people to test their hearts. Most people pass the test. Some fail once and learn their lesson. But you failed 3 times." Femi fell to his knees, which in his condition meant that he tried to stand up. "Please, help me. I'll do anything." "Anything?" the old woman asked. "Will you help others, even when there's nothing in it for you?" "Yes." "Will you put other people's needs before your own profits?" "Yes." "Will you stop rushing through life long enough to notice when someone needs help?" "Yes, yes, anything." The old woman looked at him for a long moment. "There is one way to break this curse." "What way?" "You must help 3 people in need, but you must do it while walking backward. You must find a way to be useful to others even when you cannot move forward in life." Femi looked confused. "How can I help anyone if I can only walk backward?" "That," the old woman said with a gentle smile, "is for you to figure out." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving Femi alone with his backward condition and an impossible task. For days, Femi tried to think of how he could help people while only being able to walk backward. Everything seemed impossible. But then, one afternoon, as he was walking backward down his street, he heard a child crying. A little boy had climbed too high in a mango tree and was stuck. The boy's mother was below, calling for help, but no one knew how to get him down. Femi had an idea. He walked backward to the tree, which meant his back was against the trunk. He called up to the boy. "Jump onto my back," he said. "I'll catch you." Because Femi was facing away from the tree, the boy could safely jump onto his back and climb down. The first person was helped. The next day, Femi saw an old man struggling to push his broken-down car. Because Femi could only walk backward, he was naturally positioned to push the car from behind, exactly where the man needed help. The second person was helped. The third opportunity came when Femi saw a blind woman trying to cross a busy street. Because he was walking backward, Femi could walk in front of her, facing her, guiding her safely across while watching for any dangers she might miss. The third person was helped. The moment Femi finished helping the blind woman cross the street, something magical happened. He tried to take a step backward, as he had been doing for weeks, but instead his foot moved forward. He could move forward again. But something even more amazing had happened. During those weeks of walking backward, Femi had learned to see the world differently. He had learned to notice people who needed help. He had learned that his wealth meant nothing if he didn't use it to help others. From that day forward, Femi was a changed man. He used his construction company to build free houses for poor families. He used his wealth to pay for children's school fees. He used his time to help anyone who needed it. And most importantly, he was never again too busy or too important to stop and help an old woman carrying a heavy load. Years later, people would tell the story of the rich man who learned to move forward by walking backward. The story spread throughout Lagos, then throughout Nigeria, then throughout Africa. And whenever someone was tempted to ignore a person in need because they were too busy or too important, people would remind them, "Be careful, or you might end up like Femi, walking backward through life until you learn to move forward with kindness." The old woman was never seen again in that part of Lagos, but people say that she appears wherever and whenever someone needs to learn the most important lesson of all, that the direction of your heart determines the direction of your life. The moral of this story is the most important lesson of all. Life gives us many chances to choose kindness over selfishness, but those chances are not unlimited. If we keep moving backward in our hearts, eventually our whole lives will start moving backward too. What did you learn from this powerful story? Have you ever been too busy to help someone in need? Have you ever ignored someone who was asking for help? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, every day life gives us opportunities to move forward through kindness or backward through selfishness. The choice is always ours, but we don't always get unlimited chances to make the right choice. This concludes our 3-part series about the mysterious old woman and the tests she gives to all of us. If these stories have changed the way you think about kindness and greed, please share them with others. Subscribe for more incredible stories that reveal the deeper truths about life, and remember, the direction you choose to move today determines where you'll end up tomorrow. Stay blessed, stay kind, and always remember to move forward with love in your heart.